Hi guys, how are you doing? Good evening. Welcome to Monday Night Muse. I'm your host, Sound Engraver. So hopefully you guys are doing well. Let me see if I'm live on YouTube. I think it's about like an 8 to 10 second delay, but hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Okay, now it looks like it's all good. All right. Yeah, YouTube on my end is always about 8 seconds behind to my iPad, to my phone, to different things. So, but sounded good on my end. Just let me know if audio is good on your end, and we'll take it away. It's going to be another impromptu. I've been quite busy. I've been caught up in teaching and projects and some hopefully new opportunities. So I think probably in the coming weeks, it very well could be a live stream. So we'll see how that goes. But let's welcome the chat and talk about the importance of optionality. And this is a topic, but it's also an impromptu. So we'll see. We'll see if I have my thoughts all together. But let's go ahead and welcome the chat. Oh, yes, good. Big Al Percent says, sounds good. Hello to you, Big Al. I hope you are doing well this week. It must have been a warm day today because I'm actually quite warm with this shirt. It doesn't feel like winter. My floor heater isn't on, so but I have the fan going, so hopefully we'll cool down a little bit. But anyway, let's welcome the chat. First off, actually, is Daniel Heron, and he was wishing John Williams a very happy 89th birthday. So happy birthday to John Williams tonight. And up next, we have Matthew Flynn, the gladiator of Caen has arrived to promote my upcoming stream with Troy. Well, I actually don't know if I've pronounced that name right, but hopefully it's a gladiator, not gladiator, Terminator, right? Not Terminator. Transformers. That franchise. Yes, good. And actually, if you can jot down the time, that would be great. Thank you. Because I know you're in the UK, so I know the time is bound to be different from what we're used to in the evenings here over at the US. And my handsome professor says, I'm here for my beautiful sage. Well, hopefully the sage has some wise things to say. I don't know. We'll see. And by the way, this is a discussion. I just have thoughts, and so I just welcome the chat to put in some ideas and all that good stuff. Melissa Harris and Sons. See you guys at 9:30. And Aged Boomer. I can't stay, but I hope you have a great stream tonight. I will. Thank you for, well, I hope so. Thank you for popping in to say hi. And Horizon Talker, hello the chat. Hello to the chat. Hello the chat. And I'm sure Back to the Drawing Board pays the same respects. And looks like we've got some chat getting a little bit more active. Artificial Joni, welcome. Welcome from Norway. That's still so cool that you're from Norway. I love that. Now, I'm curious because I'm ignorant. I confess, I don't know. Is English spoken predominantly in Norway, or do you have a language for Norway, like Norwegian? I mean, or do you learn English first or with Norwegian? How does this work? Because I know people from, I know Welsh is a language, but, people from Wales, I think, speak predominantly English, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I would like to know more about that. Daniel Craig says, I came up with a new idea the other day. What do you think of re-examining older art you've done, particularly things you might have hated but have some time away from now? I don't know. I think that's a really good idea. In my case, we'll get to the topic soon. I think my case might be different because in college, I was taught to hate the beautiful. Really, I know that sounds blunt, but I was really taught to accept the ugly and the things that don't make sense or the absurd. And I actually think absurdity is fine in art. I think, especially, in writing or in music, in the form of sound experimentation. But it taught me to steer clear from the beautiful. So I really was encouraged to have a hard time with Mozart. I was encouraged to have a hard time with the classic composers, the Beethoven symphonies, the Haydn chamber ensembles. They didn't say that directly. People didn't say it directly, unless it was the students themselves. The professors never said it directly. But I, as a student, I was taught to dislike the beautiful. Now I come back after college loving the beautiful, but now I should go back and see the contemporary art pieces I thought was magnificent, and maybe there's something to those art pieces. Maybe there's not anything to those art pieces. I will say always, art is objective. The quality of the art, the quality of that artwork is always objective. But my experience and my interpretation of the art, that is what remains subjective. So I might not like a contemporary piece of art, but if it's good quality, I will know it by that standard. And I will call it that. I will call it a good piece of art, even if it's not to my taste or I don't have a good experience with it. It's all a matter of that. So I think I would be different. I don't know. So maybe let's say particularly something you might not have liked, but now with time, time passed, maybe you have a different opinion. Yeah. Now that's the other thing. Your opinion on an art piece is what is subjective. That is what changes over time based on your life experience. So we will see. This shirt is a little tight. So anyway, let's go ahead and welcome Wolf10. Oh, hey there, Sound Engraver. And Melissa saying happy birthday to John Williams. Kaon or Kaon, I believe. That makes sense, Kaon. Spelling of names is really, really important. If it's pronounced Kaon, it should have the arrangement of letters to help me understand that that's how you pronounce it. And Artificial Journey also saying happy birthday to John Williams. And yes, he does good. Oh, I did say Norway. Finland. Okay, do you speak Finnish? Or do you write Finnish? Or is Finnish? I'd really like to know. They speak Finnish in Finland. Yeah, I was wondering, but is English also spoken predominantly? They have to read Welsh to make out the street signs, but I don't know how many speak a lot of Welsh. Welsh is such a pretty language. It's very good. Wow, you guys speak really good English. Welcome to the Netherlands. It's probably a reference I don't know anything about. Let's see. Finnish is the dominant language of Finland. We are also forced to learn Swedish. I'm bilingual. We speak both at home. That's cool. That'd be cool to speak 2 languages at home. English is the 3rd language taught in school, starting in the 3rd grade. That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, the trouble with the United States is, well, education, when I was in school, they didn't have you learn a new language until like the 8th grade, and it was only a year or 2 required. I really, really wish in the United States they would have you. They would require you to know one of the Latin languages, like German or an East Asian language. For instance, I was from Seattle. A very good language to learn would be Korean. Over there on that, in that region of the United States, or Spanish, so I find it unusual, even as an American. I find it kind of strange that we're not encouraged to become bilingual ourselves. I think it would be very, very beneficial, especially in the market, to know Spanish or to know Russian or South Korean, or not South Korean, but you know what I mean, Korean language. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. So when I understand that people, I think I had a couple Chinese roommates. I sublet when I first moved to North Carolina, and I didn't actually sublet my apartment. I took over an apartment, and my roommate was Chinese, and she learned English, I believe, 5th grade, and they kept learning English. They didn't stop. So German is a Germanic language. Yeah, I said Latin, didn't I? I don't know why I said Latin. I have wanted to learn Greek, and Greek is especially for theology and the Catholic and even Protestant practice of faith, the Christian faith, would be really handy to know. Wolf 10 Media is the trouble with the U.S. language, with the U.S. and language, is that we are too lazy to learn a lot, let alone teach it, but expect everyone else to learn our respective languages. Yeah, I would say, it's not to say I don't think English is important, or learning English, or knowing English is important, but yeah, I think Americans should be required to learn one major language in the world. All right, so let's see. That's right. Artificial Journey is right. Romance language is Latin, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. That's right. I don't know why I lumped German in there. Oh, I know why. Because I'm a musician. In music, we have music terms primarily in Italian, but also German and a little bit of French. So I don't know why every time I think of Italian and French, I lump German in there quite quickly. All right. So let's go ahead and get started on my impromptu. Depending on how this goes, it could be a very short stream or it could be a very long stream. I will always welcome the chat and your contributions and your input, because I just had a few things on my mind the last couple days, and I thought it'd be worth mentioning, especially what's going on. This might entail some socio-political commentary, given the current state we are in here in the United States. That said, I want to speak respectively. I don't want this to be like kind of down with this side of the aisle. If I say anything that is socio-political, I'm speaking only in reference and relevance to the topic at hand. But yeah, it's a couple heavy pieces of topics. So we'll get started on that. We're already in the 12-minute mark. All right. So I want to talk about a few things, really two things, but they are interconnected. And the first is I wanted to talk about alt tech. In the last couple months, really at the turn of this new year, but I would say it probably things started surfacing. Things really started ramping up and happening really since the recent presidential election. But let's say it's probably cemented at the turn of the new year. I want to talk about alt tech and what I've noticed and experienced with alt tech to major platforms. Major platforms that, as we know, the big three, of course, are Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and the alternative platforms to those major platforms. And I am very, ambitious, and I welcome entrepreneurship and the adventurous mind and venturing out to new terrain, on social media, especially as we have seen some very questionable things at hand, politically speaking, censorship, which of course I am against. But I want to talk to you about my experience with alt tech and what I have noticed, and why it really shouldn't be called, at least in my book, it shouldn't be called alt tech, the alternative. Primarily, it's because I don't think it should be something where you go to exclusively. So, for instance, unless your channel here on this platform is under a major threat of being deleted, or unless you have been stripped from your way of making money off of this platform, I would say I wouldn't jump the ship of this platform to go to BitChute, for instance. I would do both. I would explore both. especially as an artist, and especially as an artist aiming to constantly produce, and not only that, but encouraged to publish or sell. That's the option, or I would say that's the whole importance of optionality for the artist. Giving yourself as many options as possible, as many options to showcase your art, and as many options for people to access your art, see your art, purchase your art, whatever the case may be. So it's Netter's Network. Hi, Netter. Uh, I love her list of hearts. Good to see you, Netter. I hope your watch went well Saturday, because I had to go to bed early because I had worship very early the next morning, but hopefully it went well. But glad to have you on chat. So we were just talking about alt tech, and that I would say for many people, especially people just streaming here, don't jump ship. Don't get off this platform, because as questionable as things have, as we've seen things happen here on this platform, and also other social media platforms, it's still viable. It's still viable to showcase your art. It's viable for me to talk to you, to have artistic commentary, and also produce my SuperCollider and Logic Pro videos, and my original music videos, and my original music, to give you a preview of an upcoming album, for instance. I think that's very, very important. So, for instance, YouTube to me is quite valuable because more people access this platform. Therefore, more people see my music or see my commentary on my sound experimentation and SuperCollider, and also, of course, these talks. So on alt tech, I would say, as you guys are exploring, if you guys are exploring different platforms, I would say go ahead and explore those platforms, but also, unless your conscience tells you not to, also just keep one foot on this platform, or keep one foot on the major platforms, unless you have to say, I can't abide by this anymore. I don't feel right about, partaking in, even being on a platform that does questionable things. For me, as someone who is mindful of an art business, music business, I'm not facing any threat. Now, by the way, if I get kicked out, it's because my internet is spotty, or I do something with the mouse that kicks me out. If I talk about alt tech, I don't think I don't think my channel's large enough to say, what's she doing? I still have not been able to make money on this platform, so I don't think I'm much of a threat. But I want to have an honest discussion about alt tech. What have I explored? What have I seen with alt tech? I'm going to give you the alternative to, I think it's Facebook, and I think it's a little bit of Twitter, and that is the platform minds.com. I like it so far. I like the interface. It's pretty elegant. I see a lot of interesting people, and I post stuff myself, and I'm so far pretty happy with using it. I frequent it. In fact, I frequent it more than Twitter these days. I just do not get a lot of audience anymore on Twitter. I'm not even doing anything. It's just, I am not getting the traction on Twitter anymore. So if I leave Twitter, it's because I'm not getting the traction, even more than what Twitter is up to these days. So anyway, going back to Minds, I like the interface. It's pretty easy to use. It's very easy to post a lot of content, like videos, and you have the option of having kind of the video in the small window space, and it can have like an automatic playback or playthrough, and it looks very elegant. It's quite nice. What I've noticed, a couple drawbacks. The first is because it's an alternative to these other platforms, these major platforms, I should say, you don't have the audience yet. That might change later, but you don't have the audience yet. And what I've also noticed that is really a drawback, and this is kind of the whole point of my talking about alt tech, The drawback is all these other platforms that are alternative platforms. All these platforms are drawing in a lot of vocal people. Okay, like people who do not behave well on, in the public square, and that includes the online public square. What do I mean? Okay, so for instance, I'm not for censorship. I'm against artistic censorship. I'm against censorship of any kind. But when you go to another media platform who also values free speech and is against censorship, what you tend to draw is not normal people like you and me who are against censorship. They tend to draw people who are so vocal, like that they look crazy. They behave in a crazy way. They have the freedom of expression, but they show vile things. They show vile content. They do not behave. And I know people don't like that word behave, but they do not conduct themselves. Let's just say that. They do not conduct themselves in a dignified way. Like if they don't garner respect, it's because they don't give respect. They're quite profane with their language. They're quite vile, and they are a group. It's almost the behavior is kind of cultish. It's like, we are so for freedom of speech, we're so against censorship, but because we're for freedom of speech, and this is the missing the point of freedom of speech, they're like, well, I'm just going to say anything, and I mean anything. To me, social media, at least to me as an artist, is kind of a conduit or a way of showcasing my art. And if I want to do that, I'm doing that professionally. If I want to market my art, I want to market my art professionally. Now, am I saying ban people who speak profanely? No, because I'm not for censorship. But the numbers are so much more. The attitude and the way people are conducting themselves is so much more prevalent. The vileness and the profanity is so much more prevalent on these alternative platforms. And that can actually scare people away. People could check it out and they're like, I don't want to see this. I mean, I just want to see normal content like I've seen on YouTube, because primarily, I would say in most cases, YouTube still houses content creators that are more or less normal. We conduct ourselves in a way where we conduct ourselves, that same way we conduct ourselves out in public, not defaming people, not tearing people down, not being brash, not being abrasive, and all that. So I'm actually seeing a lot of that more on the alternative side. Why? One is, of course, the history that we're facing. This I think in many ways is quite historical, what we're facing with a quite oppressive media. And it's just people retaliating. It's just people fighting back. It's just people protesting and resisting. I get that. But I also want normalcy with my social media. I just want to be an artist showing my stuff and talking about interesting stuff. I don't want to be a part of the fight to where it looks like I'm just in a rebel rousing group for no cause, for nothing at all, just to pick a fight, just to pick for picking a fight's sake. I don't think I said that right. You know what I mean, though. Like, I'm not a rebel by nature. I don't want to rebel. I really would rather not. I don't want to cause a scene. I don't want to inconvenience people. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. It's just not who I am. And I think a lot of people, even people who have my values, who do oppose censorship, who are very nervous about what's happening with mainstream media, all this stuff, people who think like me, most people just want to be normal. They just want to live their lives. They want to be ignored. Now, I think we're in a time where that's, being ignored or, living and let live. I think that's getting that window is getting narrower and narrower by the day, unfortunately. But that's not to say in protest, still conduct yourself with decorum, still conduct yourself with decency. If these alternative platforms let people say and post anything, I mean anything. I've seen some questionable things on BitChute. Like, I don't think that's legal. But if these platforms allow such a thing, it will scare off people like who just want to watch content, who aren't into politics at all. And the thing is, that's why I'm saying this. I don't really care to talk about socio-political things on my channel because I'm really not involved in politics. But I want to raise awareness on the things to be careful about. If you don't mind being a part of that fight and being very vocal in that fight, then that is a platform and an avenue for you. But I've seen artists on places like Minds where I'm like, let me just see your art. Can we stop talking about like the fight? Let's just be on this platform, do its thing, and then have the everyday man and the everyday woman come to that platform. So I like that there are alternatives, but they shouldn't be the only choices. You shouldn't jump ship from one platform and go to a fairly new platform that also, unfortunately, right now, at least in this time of human history and the history of the internet, all these platforms that we are considering and exploring are vulnerable. They're very vulnerable, meaning they could be taken down, unfortunately. And I'm against that. I don't want them to be taken down, but they can be. So we have to proceed with extreme amount of caution. Explore, post, meet new people, endorse new artists and all that, but take it with a grain of salt. So those are my ideas for alt tech. So let's actually talk about that a little bit in the chat. Let's see if you guys have any ideas. And then we'll go back and forth, and then I'll connect it to the next thing. I hope I said everything I had in mind about that. Samuel Proctor says, leaving Twitter is a sign of a healthy mind. Yes and no. And I hate that answer. Yes and no. It depends. For years, I started Twitter back in 2014, summer of 2014. I just followed musicians and composers and sound designers. I was very selective about who I was following. And I would like and endorse and retweet and all that good stuff. And I would get the same support. Now, I did lose a little bit of a following by actually posting something rather controversial. And I did lose a handful of artists that had followed me and supported me for a number of years, unfortunately. I think on the one hand, I think to get the audience on Twitter, you have to be controversial, which I don't like. I wish it was just me just posting my favorite albums and posting my original music and stuff like that. But the thing is, in the last few months, really in the last 4 months, I have not even garnered that kind of audience. I've not garnered attention. I have over just shy over 900 followers. I never made it to 1,000. I just don't get the attention anymore. So if it's not economical for me to remain on Twitter, then I'll leave. But as far as business, if it's fruitful for me to stay on Twitter as an artist, I will. But that means I don't deal with that drama. I don't deal with controversy. I just post about music, and that's it. Horizon Talker says, mine's also has a native video hosting, and I've gotten a lot more engagement there than any social media platform I've used. That's, yeah, actually, so my commentary on my Donkey Kong score analysis and assessment, I posted about a week and a half ago. I've gotten like under 70 views, which is below average for my videos for my platform here. But oh my goodness. So I posted that on Minds, not thinking I was going to get any views, like 20 or 30 views or impressions or whatever they call it. And I added the tag gaming and gaming music. And then I checked Minds. I posted that and then I left it. And then I checked an hour later or so. And I got 64 notifications. And I thought, oh my goodness, someone's spamming me. And I got so nervous. And then I was looking at it, it's just people just kept liking and subscribing, and they call it reminding because it's like retweeting, but it's called mine, so it's called reminding the post. So reminded by Sound Engraver. And I got well over 1,000 views on that one post. And so I think my gaming commentary will be very popular on that platform. In terms of gaming music, I should say. So that's good. Yeah, and actually, I think I subscribed to you. So good. I'm glad. I hope your art succeeds and you get a lot of audience there. A lot of followers. Oh, wait, that's not for me. Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm talking about, is that said many people who post on Minds are kind of loony. It's a reaction. It's a retaliation on something evil that we have seen in recent weeks. And of course, that is the tearing down and, taking down channels and platforms and accounts and all that stuff. So it's a reactionary group right now. It's a reactionary group that is, it remains, I think, dominant in that sphere right now. I hope that phases out over time. I hope that for mine's sake. I hope that for other platforms' sake, they cannot accrue so much of that, the lunatics out there. It's not going to be healthy for them in the long run. And the main reason is not even so much like the powers that be to take them down because of that reason. It's actually dissuading people who want to engage normally with other people on social media. So that's been the concern. That has been my concern with exploring these different platforms. They're not quite up to speed yet. Why? There's friction. There's friction to going into these new platforms. You're not used to it. People are not used to it. You have to kind of navigate it. There might be, bugs and kinks and different things to solve. So I understand that it's new. BitChute did not look attractive when I first looked at it probably over a year ago. It's getting better. It's getting better, and they need the donations and the to get the manpower and the bandwidth. But when I first came across this platform, I was seeing thumbnails of obscene pictures, because freedom of speech. It's like, you don't post obscenity publicly. Would you do that in a public building? Would you do that in front of children? Would you do that in front of a respectable, community of people? No. So I don't know why people feel entitled to post obscene things. Things by obscene, you might think, oh, well, Michelle's just a prude Christian. Well, it's not just that. I think people generally would be uncomfortable with the images I had seen on these platforms initially. I don't know if they house the same kind of content anymore as they're growing, but that's been the concern. Yeah, Netter has the right idea with these platforms. So you say, I left Twitter years ago or ages ago because I never used it and there was nothing that made me want to use it. Yeah, I think so too. I don't look at it for, my mouse. I felt like it was about to take me back to the what is this called on StreamYard? I can't remember. End broadcast dashboard. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, yeah. If you're not going to use it, or if it's not functional for you, yeah, there's no reason. I'm. This would probably be the year to decide if I want to continue with using Twitter, even for my music. I don't get anything. I don't get any impressions, any views. It's sad because I follow some of my favorite musicians, but I have been looking on that platform less and less as the day goes by. Professor Geek says, "Well said. We must always be ready to fight for our rights, but if we allow ourselves to be defined by that fight, we've already lost." Well, I mean, what's the downside of being so vocal? Even being so vocal about a thing you believe in, a thing you want to fight for or stand up against. So let's say we're talking about censorship, for instance. Why what benefit would it be to me to be so vocal and so vile in my fight against censorship and in standing against censorship? People would look at me, normal people, the everyday man, the everyday woman, would look at me like I was a lunatic. And so therefore, if I behave like a lunatic or even look like a lunatic, I'm already categorized as an ideologue. And I think people anywhere on any side of the political social spectrum, I think by and large people want to avoid that kind of conduct, that kind of behavior. They it's like this was quite common when I was a student in Seattle. You'd walk down an avenue and near downtown Seattle or close to downtown Seattle, and you would see someone crazy just screaming their heads off during the day with so much foot traffic. And anyone, I don't care what you believe in, what your politics are, what your religions are. You tend to walk on the other side of the road when you see someone screaming their head off. Excuse me. So we have to stand up and fight for our rights and defend our rights and defend that which defend what we love, defend what we believe to be true and honorable and beautiful. But I think we also should bear the responsibility of the art of persuasion and decorum and peace. Speak out in peace. Speak out your beliefs with peace, or peaceably, I should say. Oh, I think it jumped. Jumped again. Horizon Talker says, I basically use Twitter to message some people I need to talk to. Yeah, the same with me. I occasionally scroll it when I'm stuck in line at a store, but otherwise I don't use it much anymore. Yeah, I've lost it myself a little bit. Excuse me, I have something in my throat. Okay, so that was that's my take on alt tech, is just proceed with caution. I would say, I like that. I think it was Age of Boomer. He's posting videos on different platforms. I'm checking out, the alternative to Twitter and Facebook and all of that, but just not quite leaving because I just want to show my art, just to make it accessible. I do kind of get the impression though that I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I do get the impression that people are just kind of leaving Twitter because they don't really find use for it anymore, unless they want to be vocal, you know. But yeah, I don't get into the drama stuff. That stuff depresses me. So anyway, let's talk about something else that's kind of, depending on how you look at it, you know, as an artist, it can be related. But the next thing I wanted to talk about was the ideological, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it ideologue? Well, yeah. I'm going to just say ideological real quick. You know, say the word real fast. Yeah, I want to see how to pronounce it. I'll just say ideological. If I'm wrong in that pronunciation, just let me know. But the ideological business model. Okay, so you guys, we're part of a community where we see a lot of different channels and a lot of different commentary on more or less the same thing. You know, more or less our complaints and our you know, the problems we see with ideology in popular art. And in many videos I've seen this, and also just on many channels I've seen this, but people just kind of whine and bemoan and complain, like, why is Lucasfilm making all these terrible decisions? Why is Marvel Comics making all these decisions? They're not selling any comics, or they're selling very few comics. Or you know, what is up with, you know, recently, you know, we have writers of the High Republic, you know, in Star Wars, vehemently attack people just without any cause. They just they hear something and then they react on Twitter. And in our minds, and in the minds of many people in this community, we say, why in the world are these businesses, are these companies making these decisions? Why are they behaving this way? Why are they acting like this? Why are they acting so childish? Why are they attacking fans? Why are they dismissing and attacking customers? And then I hear also in these commentaries, people say, well, this is a business. This is a stupid decision they're making. Like, if I were in this business, if I were in this writing committee, if I was in, you know, the CFO or the CEO, or if I was a producer. And so they'd always draw up these scenarios like, this is what I would do for this business. Or you'll hear these guys over at Marvel, they're sitting on a gold mine. Why are they making these decisions? Okay, so you get my point, right? This is all about the ideological business model, meaning it's a business not out to make money. I hate to break it to you guys, but Disney, I would say, I'll be so careful as to say this is a theory, but I don't think so. Disney and the companies under it, like Marvel and Lucasfilm, you know, and your folks, you know, over there at BBC with, you know, shows like Doctor Who, they're not following a traditional business model to make money or to make a profit. They're not making money, and they don't plan on making money. A case in point, the recent example in our popular culture is the renewal of Batwoman season 3, even though the ratings have tanked and they're heavily criticized, you know, on a consumer report, on a consumer level. And we see time and time again the bias reports of you know, reporters and media critics and all of that, while most people watching these shows don't care for these shows. These people watching these movies don't care for these movies. The games that are being made to make a political statement, they're not business decisions to make a profit. This, as many of you guys have admitted, as many of you guys have seen on other channels, this is propaganda. Propaganda is not out to make money. Propaganda is out to propagate a message, a very specific message in the socio-political world. And so, guys, I think I would say, you know, again, going about it with a degree of caution, if you ever think in the Star Wars universe or the making of Star Wars, like the companies, if you really do have your head explode on some of these decisions and some of these creatives and what they're doing creatively, and also how they're speaking to the public square, they're not wanting to make money. They're wanting a message. And in the case with Marvel, as I had seen with RJ on the Fourth Age channel, they don't care if they don't sell comics. They want those published to be not profitable, but tangible. They want the physical copy to insert it in the libraries and in the back doors of the schools, the school libraries and the public libraries. That's all. They have no regard for profit. And people say, well, that can be true because we taunt the, or not taunt, we trumpet that slogan that we have, go, get woke, go broke. But the thing is, guys, they don't care if they're broke. And it's because they have assets, state support. And I think ultimately, like the big companies like Disney, I do believe ultimately they will have federal support to continue their story making. It will no longer be a business. It will no longer be a business. So I think I want to say that with some caution. I know that's not a comfortable thing to say, but I'm saying that because you're only going to see the same thing again and again with popular art. You're only going to see the same narrative again and again. You're going to see the tired old treatment of characters, the removal of characters, the deconstruction of characters or stories, not just characters. You're going to see aesthetics go down. You're going to see the art get uglier, as we've seen with, I think it has been Cartoon Network or some of the networks for kids shows and cartoons, how it's just terribly ugly art. It's going to be the same with comics as far as the major players in the industry. You're going to see uglier art. You're not going to see as beautiful art. The aesthetics are going to go down to the point where there isn't going to be any aesthetics. There's not going to be structure. There's not going to be flow. There's not going to be poetry to these stories and to these films anymore. People say, but they're not going to be making money anymore. They don't care. They need the physical product or the digital product to get it accessed by the mainstream media and the public. And so that is the get woke, go broke. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they're broke. I know it's kind of absurd, but we live in very absurd times. And people might think this is all conspiracy theory, Michelle. But I don't think it's Agent Boomer. Me complain about popular culture? Never. Never. Not on a weekly basis, ever. But so that is my second idea to talk about. How it is really, really important to understand that this is the way the industry is going to work from now on. And if they do go broke, or if they do get broke, they'll be funded by the state. They'll be funded by probably the Fed in time, like someone like Disney, or I shouldn't say someone because it's not a person, it's an entity. So just something to consider. You could take it as a theory. It could be a theory I'm giving out right now that could be completely wrong, but I'm baffled by people being baffled by these business decisions. It's not a business anymore. I mean, take it from someone who's been in the academics. I saw how this worked, and the prof and I were talking about this. We've talked about this in a lot of our conversations. How when I was in college, or having known what I was taught in college, now I kind of had a degree of ignorant bliss. I thought, well, that's just staying in the academic institutions. No, No, all this nonsense you see in Hollywood and in Disney and all that stuff, that's exactly what has been taught in the academics. That's that age old. It's really an age old philosophy now, where there's no objective standards of art. Beauty is relative. It's not an objective standard. What is good is relative. There's no objective standard of good. That philosophy, I mean, it's 100 years old now. And I thought it stayed in the academics, but no, we see it now in popular art. There's a solution. There's a solution to all this, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I have one more topic after this. So I hope I'm making sense with my impromptu. All right, Wolf 10 says, only rebellion I'm part of is the Rebel Alliance with Commander Skywalker at the lead. That's awesome. Gino Craig says, any artist I follow who drops political BS, I unfollow. I don't follow a musician because I care what they think of politics. Exactly. And that's my role on Twitter, is just to be a composer, showcasing her music. That's all. Yeah, this again, I'm using the word caution a lot, but Horizon Talker raises a good point. Yeah, I'm enjoying Minds, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it nuked anytime. Their app has already been kneecapped. I did not know that. I don't use my phone really except for talking, so I don't really use apps. So I don't know anything about app availability or history or anything like that. I use my desktop right here. Oh, but on the topic of optionality, it's coming to a head. I promise. My next topic will kind of bring this in, full circle. But keep your options available. Keep your options available to talk about art, to showcase your art, to talk about good art, to talk about art you love, to talk about art you value. Leave your options open. Leave your options open. And I think it will be a good thing. Had a rather large dinner, so I need a piece of peppermint. Oh, it's Jedi Master Zootopia. Nice to see you. Yes. Just because you can post a thing doesn't mean you should post a thing. Well, I mean, yes, sort of, Melissa. I wouldn't say all kinds, because we do need regulation. I know. Shocker, right? I can't believe you're saying that. I can't believe you're saying that, Michelle. No, we do need regulation. We need legal conduct against things that are graphically violent, for instance, or it is abusive in nature, like a victim, like a child victim. Like if we see a post of some horrible thing, we got to take it to the authorities and we got to shut that thing down. So I'm not against regulation. The freedom of speech must be honorable. And by honorable, I mean you honor the dignity of the human person. You honor the life. You value the life. So if you say something and it does induce, or not induce, it does cause a terrible circumstance, you should be held responsible for that legally too. I would say. So I'm against censorship of what we have seen, the state of what we have seen on the online public square. But as far as regulation, things should be regulated. This is what I'm nervous about with things like Discord or BitChute or something like that, where like, oh, we could post anything, absolutely anything, like a gang of people like beating up a guy. No, take it to the authorities, you know? So, I mean, be responsible with your freedom of speech, because you will be held responsible for your freedom of speech. If I said anything that caused someone to get injured, even by accident, um, I'm not going to be irresponsible, like on a bridge, and teenagers are on a bridge, considering, jumping off the bridge into the water, like the dangerous waters, and I say something irresponsible that scares them, and someone falls off and then gets a head concussion in the water. I'm held responsible for that. I can't scare someone into doing something that would actually ultimately hurt themselves. So I'm kind of serious about freedom of speech and freedom of expression, because there should be again, precautions, measures. Matthew, for instance, having a limitation on the creative process can be a good thing sometimes. I actually think it's a good thing a lot of times. Yeah. I love setting up limitations for my music. If you put limits on yourself as an artist, whatever you do, you'll find that you actually grow out of a formula. Like, you have a formula, but let's say with my music, not every track is going to sound the same. It might have the same structure or formula, but it's not going to sound. It's not going to have the same instruments. It's not going to have the same harmonies or melodies. It's not going to have the same musical idea or musical vibe or musical atmosphere, because I really that's one of my strengths, is I try to keep each track of the album as unique as possible, but still have coherence, still have the album has a general mood, but every track is unique. And what has been the cause of that? Setting limitations on myself. Oh, it jumped again. Darn it. Darn it. So let's see. Let's see. Samuel Proctor's mentioning a company. I'm not going to actually put it on the post, but Vid Angel has been providing the choice of individuals choosing not to hear and see. That's a good feature. Yeah, that's a really good feature. Yeah, I would love like a filter, kind of like a checklist of part of your settings saying, okay, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see profanity or something like that. Yeah, I think that's really important. Because what is it doing? It's tailoring to the customer or patron or user. Because these platforms are free. We have to remember that. We also have to remember that these platforms are free to use. And so, if they go, we're like, oh, okay. Now I have made a donation to a couple of the platforms, but that might be lost. That's my risk. That's it's charity, but it's also a risk. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Matthew Flynn. When push comes to shove, use mind control. Don't look any deeper into that. I'm not planning anything. I mean, is that an app, or are you actually talking about the actual theoretical idea of mind control? Actually, speaking of which, this might be a sidebar topic. It'll be short too. I want you guys to be always encouraged to think independently and creatively and critically, meaning you can really respect a lot of different channels that you see, really respect a lot of people in the community that you talk to on a daily basis or frequent on a weekly basis, but you don't always have to agree with what certain people are saying, even people you respect. You can have great respect for people who might say things or post things or publish things that you disagree with. And then you could be vocal about it, kindly vocal about why you would disagree with their approach or their perspective or their views on something. So as of late, one example for me is I used to just almost religiously listen to Thor Skywalker videos. I've lost more as the weeks have gone by. I've lost more and more interest with his videos, and not because of him, but he posts videos of recent Disney Star Wars content, and he has the same views I have with the sequel trilogy, but we have different views on treatment of characters, and also things like Mandalorian. And one reason is I haven't seen Mandalorian, and I don't plan on watching it. But because of that, because I'm like, well, this is not really how I would approach my liking to Star Wars anymore. So I'll watch his videos every once in a while if it's generally about the Jedi or generally about Star Wars. But if it's actually about a current project that Disney is doing, I'm just not interested. I've ceased to be interested in. But do I think less of him, or do I now disrespect him? No. I have agreed with his approach on Star Wars content less and less over the weeks and over the months. So just because I like him a lot and like his channel a lot, I don't feel that kind of I don't feel compulsed to lean on every word he says. So I want to encourage you guys to not always lean on what I have to say, or even what the professor has to say, or any of your friends what they have to say, or any of the channels you follow what they have to say, because I want you to critically think for yourself. I think thinking critically and being independent in your thinking and thinking deeply and speaking your own mind, of course, with decorum and politeness and kindness, but speaking and thinking independently actually will over time cause a wider gamut of an audience for you. I think so. Because I think if you want to avoid a clique. In my academic experience, I avoided cliques like the plague. I didn't hang out at the coffee shop with my composer buddies. I didn't hang out with them in their homes. I didn't, walk around with them in the quad. Yes, I liked them and I liked talking with them, but I always maintained some distance from the clique because I wanted to think for myself. And so I think these YouTube groups and these channels, they can be enjoyable, they can be entertaining, but if you're not careful, they can be a clique, and people from the outside can see that. They can sniff that. They can they're part of that. They're, I'm not saying being part of a community is a bad thing, or even if you were involved in a clique, that's a bad thing. But people do notice it. They're like, they're part of this that I don't feel really part of, so I'm not going to pay attention to their art. I'm not going to pay attention to what they say. Well, what mitigates that, what buffers that is thinking independently and thinking critically on your own. Does that mean everyone's going to disagree with you in your opinions? No. Does that mean only a handful of people are going to agree with you? No. Actually, you could find yourself in a huge group with a huge following that are of like-minded people, but don't ever hold fast to that. Like always look at every single case with discernment and pull out the discrepancies that you see, and have respect, give respect to people who have already done that and who may even say things that you disagree with, but understand, what? They're thinking for themselves. They're thinking independently, and they are exacting and practicing critical thinking. let's move along with the chat before I get to the final part of the discussion. Horizon Talker says, too many people assume money is the only currency in the world. Oh, well put. That's well put. Silly, given the social media landscape created the attention economy years ago. Yep. I don't know like the business side of these major platforms, but I understand that their cushion is actually not monetary. That their cushion is based on assets and exchanges to keep them running. Like if Twitter, for instance, followed a traditional business model, it would have ceased to exist a long time ago. So, yeah, actually, so Melissa, I'm actually countering that. If they do go broke, it doesn't matter. They'll still keep running, being broke, unfortunately. But there's an antidote to that, or antidote. I always get those two words confused. A.G. Burmer says, this is why I like Nintendo. They're out to make money. Yeah, the thing is, people might scoff or they might sneer at the profit motive, but the profit motive is something you should be looking for, especially as someone who consumes art, who loves art and wants to partake in art. Maybe you produce art yourself. The profit motive, if you want to use that term, is only predicated on the value you give to the customer. They're not going to give you money if they don't believe they're going to have some value in exchange. That's all, Now, of course, people can be blinded by greed and want to be wealthy for all the wrong reasons, or may have selfish ambitions that are that involve money. But as far as artists or writers or producers creating content that is out to make a profit, you darn well can be sure to ensure profit is to ensure value, what the customer wants. And since we haven't seen that on the side of Hollywood, you can be sure that they do not care about profit. Oh, jumped again. Big Al, respectful disagreement is a great part of my friendships. Oh, I thought you said in the chat, I thought you said respectfully disagree. I was like, oh, what are we disagreeing on? Because I actually, that is one thing I appreciate about you, Al, is you have a position that is really in direct opposition with your close friends like Van Man and the Prof, but there's still camaraderie with all of you guys. You guys love being together. You love hanging out. We can feel it in the stream. There's absolutely no. I don't feel any prejudice. I don't feel any resentment between the three of you, even though you hold dynamically different positions on things. And I respect that. I wish that was everywhere. See, we need the owls, okay? Perpetual sunshine. Perpetual sunshine. Al, you should sell merchandise with shirts with the sun and then your face. That would be awesome. So Wolfton, this is kind of a sidebar, but he says they are making codeless Jedi in the High Republic. How is it the height of the Republic to revere when you have too many characters in an order who are above the code? Laughable. Yeah, I don't. That's one of the narratives these days. I'm above this, which means I'm above you. Kind of that superiority. It's like an inverse inferiority complex. It's like, No. I have to inflect my moral superiority and the superiority of my skills upon you low lifes. Yeah, it's great. Samuel Proctor says, Comics by Perch just made a video on how the Walking Dead comic series sales was the exact opposite of modern comic sales, rising sales from 2003 to 2019 by 600%. Yeah, I don't know anything about those comics, but I understand like the adaptation is very, very different. I don't watch that. I'm not into zombies. But I understand that the adaptation treated the story very differently from the comic. Horizon Talker says, people have to realize that people like those in charge at Disney don't change. They have hardened themselves against all pain, and they will squander all they've built up until they're exhausted. Yeah. And then it becomes the new PBS, like I said before. Melissa Hare says, that's why I have classic comics on and public domain comics, anime, and manga. Full Moon in the original EU, the real Star Wars sequel trilogy. Yeah. Yeah, preserving the good stories. I think that's very important. You raise a good point, Samuel Proctor. For the last few decades, the pattern is conspiracy theories slowly become reality over time. It's because we live in absurdity now. When people dismiss reality and say it doesn't exist, well, people who defend reality, it looks absurd to them. It looks ludicrous to them because they themselves have denied reality. Solipsism run amok. Aged Boomer's back. I'm now wondering if art programs try to train their students to create ugly art in service of propaganda. Now, I can't speak for private studios. I can't speak for, I'm a private violin instructor. So someone who has my position but teaches art instead, I don't think so. On an individual basis, I'm not sure that's the case. I'm sure there's more of that kind of apprentice or that tutelage style that is that can be very wholesome, I think. Art students in the liberal arts in the university, oh yeah. It's not uncommon to walk into like an art library cafe on a college campus. If I see beautiful art in a college campus cafe, like in an art studio or an art department, if I see beautiful art, I'd be so surprised. Yeah. Troy is also quite adamant about saying physical media, which is very important. Yeah, people are saying like I should get Discord, or like, oh, set up an account so we could talk. I'm like, I don't think we'll talk more than an email exchange anyway. Why don't we just stick to email? I am really slowly exploring. I'm exploring what works, what I like. I have to like the look of it, and I have to like the feel of it. Now I know it's free to use. I understand that, but I still, looks are important. It's kind of like if I were to sell, let's say I decided to, give away an album for free. Am I gonna, have an ugly look to my album? Am I gonna have ugly soundtracks just because it's free? No. I want to keep the integrity of my artistic intelligence, So that's going to include very attractive sounds. It's going to include very attractive music to the best of my ability. So I think it's the same way with these new platforms. It's very, very important that it looks right, it looks okay, it feels right. I know it doesn't have the girth and it doesn't have the bandwidth as the major players. I understand that, but there are also ways to work around, nuts and bolts and all that stuff. Yeah, I agree with you, Melissa. But like when I see language like I hate everything of every kind, I want to correct that, at least in my perspective. So yeah, you're talking about regulation and totalitarianism, of course, and we have to stand up against that for sure. Yeah, Wolfton also says I take firm responsibility of any art I put out. Yeah, I think everyone should take responsibility of their actions and the art they produce. I think that's fine. But you know, is that too much to ask? All right. So we have a little bit of chat. I'm catching up on chat. Yeah. Let me catch up with chat, see if I can, and then if I can't, then we'll get into um, the public square. Yeah. So we're talking about alt tech. We're talking about the ideological business model. I hope I'm saying that word right. Ideological. I don't know. You know what I mean. I can't stand it when I don't know how to pronounce words live. But yeah, the business model, the ideologue's business model, and then ultimately the public square. Our role as artists, and if we're not artists, preserving good art, and that takes place on the online public square. Again, good optionality, giving yourself choices. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about that. So when I'm talking about these alternative platforms, I'm not saying I shun them or I'm not going to give them the time of day. I'm taking my time over this year just exploring different ideas, different platforms, because I want to give myself many options as someone who showcases her art, and I also want to give the recipient the same number of options. The more options you have, the less friction it is to find your art. To find art in general. Also, friction has to do with routine. So a lot of people listen to a podcast, for instance, every day as part of their routine. So if you set up a podcast, for instance, on your art or on commentary, then chances are you're going to be garnering in new people who are used to listening to a podcast every day as part of their routine. Maybe their podcast that they listen to decides to close or to stop, or it's canceled or something like that. Well, what do? They try to listen to another podcast because that's what they're used to. I'm used to looking at YouTube videos. That's my form of entertainment, listening to commentary on different channels. That's just what I'm used to. So if a channel ceases to exist or something like that, or they decide not to post content anymore, what do I tend to do? I just tend to look for something else of the same nature, the same vein. It's just because it's part of my routine. So giving different people, new people you may have never met before, that option, giving them the option, accessing or having many people have access to your art in different ways. So I'm going to give you an example of good optionality in some respect. So my music can be found on Spotify, SoundCloud, a lot of the different streaming services that I don't even know because my label, the label that I'm under, takes care of all that. But all these streaming services, so my music can be accessed, and it's even available to purchase on Amazon. So I mean, I actually had a student. I told him, I said, listen, if you want to buy my music, I gave him downloadable codes or download codes because he supported my campaign. He fronted some money, and I gave him some download codes. So I said, hey, here are the download codes to my Bandcamp page. And then the following lesson, he told me he was on Amazon, and I was like, oh, that's great, but I'm not knocking him for doing that. But Amazon, I'm glad I'm there. I'm glad I am on Amazon. But the quality of music, the quality of that audio file, that you get when you purchase it off of Amazon is not as good as the quality I give to you on Bandcamp. Now, so optionality, okay, it's not my preference. But let's say I tell 100 people, hey, you can get my music on Bandcamp for cheaper and the audio quality is so much better. But they go on Amazon because 78% of those 100 people, 78 out of 100, just are used to going on Amazon. Well, okay, so maybe they'll purchase my music, doesn't have the best audio quality. It's not my favorite. I would never listen to my music off of Amazon because of the MP3. It's MP3, it's not WAV. There's a difference. So they go on Amazon, they purchase my music, they get the MP3s. Audio quality, for me, not good. But if they're so used to it, if Bandcamp is just another step, if it causes more friction to get to my music because they're not used to going on Bandcamp, I'm happy that they can go on Amazon. And if they want the poor quality, if they want the poor quality in audio, then that's their choice. If it's easier for them to get to my music through Amazon, they can do that. It's not my preference. I don't recommend it. But if they're not going to remember what the website is called, Bandcamp, okay, Bandcamp, is that one word? Sound engraver, is that two words or one word? If that's added friction, okay, they have the option of going to another easier platform to get my music. That is good optionality for you as an artist. So always consider. Don't ever consider as an artist, especially if you're a writer, guys, especially if you're getting into comic books and doing your own thing. Don't ever raise your torch and your pitchforks against Amazon, because your readership pretty much will be exclusively to Amazon, guys. I'm sorry. That's just the way the ball bounces. So do not be vocal and do not make a scene. I'm saying to you artists who want to get your stuff out there, don't be vocal in a negative way. Stand up for your rights, but do not be in such a way where Amazon would want no part of you, because your readership, pretty much all your readership, unfortunately in this day and age, all your readership is going to be off of Amazon. It's not going to be a bookstore. It's not going to be on a publisher's website. It's going to be off of Amazon. And so you have to have that optionality, that good optionality for yourself as an artist. For the public square, the online public square. So what do I mean by the public square? It's not enough for us to be, as artists, reaching out to our communities, our Facebook group pages, our YouTube channels, our platforms. It's not enough to be a part of a community and just talk about your art in that community. You have to, if you're serious about producing art and getting your art out there, not for money even, just to get good art out there, to reclaim what is good, reclaim good stories in the public square, in the public conscience. To do that, you have to market yourself outside the communities. You have to market yourself to the everyday man, everyday woman. I'm using those words because I don't really care for the word normies. If I were, I'm not a total geek. I like some geek related things. And I love Star Wars. I love He-Man and stuff like that. Getting into the Marvel universe a little bit more and more, and I enjoy it. I don't like have all my time consumed in these different franchises, but I like it. I enjoy it. I'm part geek. But if let's say to you guys, I was more or less a normie. If I heard that as a normie, it's just my take. I would feel a little bit if not put off, I would feel like I was being segregated, meaning like I couldn't partake in a community. So when you say we got to reach out, we got to reach the normies, we got to reach the everyday person, be careful in how you're making that distinction. I see the normal person as I see you guys. So you guys are into geek stuff and you're into geek culture, but I talk to you like I talk to the everyday person. I meet out in in the music studio or in the parking garage or whatever. I talk to people pretty much the same, no matter what they're into. If they're a sports fan and I don't know anything about sports, I still talk to them like I talk to you. If we really want to fight against this ideological narrative, we have to preserve art. But it's not just preserving art that we love already, and not just speaking about the art that we love already, but it is producing art, but taking the responsibility, taking the extra responsibility, and marketing yourselves to the public square. And that's where good optionality comes in. If you have your stuff on Amazon and your stuff on all the streaming services, I'm not paid. I think I was like paid $1.71 on all the streaming combined on my music this last year. I don't make anything on the streaming, but I want my music to be accessible. I want my people to be able to hear my music anywhere and everywhere. And if they want to buy my music, all the better. But the point is to get my music, accessible everywhere. So people anywhere in any part of the region of the world, with any socioeconomic status, with any interests, whether it's sports or geek related things, whether they're artsy or not artsy, whatever the case may be, it's accessible to them. And that's the most important thing. Accessible to the public. It's more than just the communities we know. It's the more than the communities that we see on our favorite YouTube channels. It is the everyday man. It's the everyday woman. And so how do we do that? How do we preserve the good, the beautiful, the true? I said that backwards. But how do we preserve that? Well, we make art that is attractive and accessible. What do I mean by attractive? Well, for me, one of my biggest strengths in my music is I can make very attractive, very unique to me sounds in my music, very unique to me harmonies and melody. I have a very distinctive style. The more albums I produce, I think the more people are going to realize, yeah, it sounds like Sound Engraver. Even if it's just a handful of people or less than 100 people, but people can hear the different unique styles and the treatment that I give my electronic music and say, oh yeah, that's unique to Sound Engraver. That's distinctively her music. And attractive sounds, attractive sounding electronic music, synths, instruments like synths and pads and arpeggiations of tonal colors and soundscapes and ambience and all that stuff that I just love for myself, because I just, it's like ear candy for me. That's what I aim to do for my music, to make it attractive. We have to focus on aesthetics, guys. So to attract the everyday man, the everyday woman, the everyday person, you have to focus on aesthetics. You have to make your characters, your people attractive. You have to make your world building attractive. You have to make your prose and your dialogue have there. I'm back. That was not my mouse. I didn't do anything. I think it's spotty internet. Am I back, guys? See what that looks like. Okay. Well, I'm coming back, guys. Just well, now you're hearing me as I am, but the YouTube is blacked out for a second. I said something controversial like making your art attractive. But where was I? Yeah, focusing on aesthetics. So doing your best to make it eye candy, to make it ear candy, and make it exceptional quality. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't remember who it was on the Facebook group page. I think it was Casey Scott, but he did a picture of two panels, and on the left panel it was, well, this is your left. On the left panel it was 2010 EU visual art, concept art of Star Wars, and it was beautiful. It was world building. It was great. It was majestic. It it was, an attractive female in armor, ready to take on, a battle, and you got some good looking aliens and good looking men and stuff like that, and a beautiful spaceship. And then you've got the High Republic. Not just the change of art, it really is, slowly and surely, it really is a denigration of skill. You have to be a master to preserve art, to preserve what you believe is valuable in art. You have to be a master. You have got to practice mastery. You must become a master in your art. You must become a master in your craft. If you are taking the responsibility of an artist in this present day and age. Why? Because once you master, and I'm going to talk about the benefits of mastering your craft, because I have mastered the violin, and I realize I have a lot of benefits as a master of as a master violin player or violinist. And there are benefits. There are social and economic benefits for being a master of your craft. But I'm talking specifically about aesthetics. If you are a master in your craft and you do your stuff well, I guarantee you it's going to attract people you don't know, people who aren't otherwise affiliated with someone like Professor Geek. They're like, oh, well, what's this attractive art? What's this attractive design? For me, one of my favorite things of my favorite electronic music artists is they have very attractive album covers. They must hire, maybe they do photography themselves, but there's beautiful, beautiful close-up photography for their album covers, and it sets the tone and the mood of an exquisite album, an exquisite electronic album. So focus on aesthetics with your art. Now, I know you guys are already, and I know you're improving your skills, but that's what's going to attract the general public. Aesthetics, the beauty of something. All right. And then how to make it accessible. Good optionality. Make it everywhere. Make your art and post your art everywhere. And now I'm really experiencing and exploring my own website, and I'm trying to do exclusive content this year for my website, so it gets people into that platform or onto that platform and see exclusive music and experimentation. Also, my albums, my albums are up for, my music can be streamed for free, unlimited. On my website, and I've made it attractive. It's got this like dark blue tone with a little bit of this like light gold. It's not really white gold. It still is gold, but it's got a sophisticated look. I really want to make my website attractive, appealing to the eye. But it's not just going to be on my website. This is why I remain on YouTube, this wonderful platform we know to be as YouTube, because people are mainly on YouTube. So it's like, I'm looking at Eli Fieldsteel's SuperCollider videos. Who's this sound engraver, doing SuperCollider demos, So, the optionality, it's not just good optionality for you to produce art. You have to find good optionality and accessibility. Make it accessible to your viewers, to your listeners in different ways on different platforms as people are exploring different things at different times. So you got to market to the public. Now, part of the responsibility of marketing to the public, since the mainstream media and the industry has really the general public in their pocket, how we fight that is to also attract the attention of the general public. And as I've said before, how to do that? Well, we got to take a little bit more responsibility of how we present ourselves on social media. And by the way, I'm not really saying it to you as telling you what to do. I'm saying this really for me. This is what I choose to do. You can't. This is gonna be hard, a little bit of a hard thing to swallow, but you can't really choose a side. That's not to say you can't defend what you believe in, what you strongly feel for, but you can't be on a side. This goes back to my saying something, thinking independently and thinking creatively and thinking critically. Yes, you can agree with a group of people, but you can also disagree. You can have your own voice. You can have your own individual voice. if you stick to a side, if you hold fast to one side, the public will see it as a side, and they might see it as a side that they're not really into. They might see it as something that they're like, that's not for me. But if you have your own individual voice, they're more likely to fix their attention on you and on what you can provide. So be careful when choosing a side. I have my values, I have my opinions, but I go with this. I'm never giving my opinion unless it's asked of me, or unless I'm on my own commentary stream, giving my opinions now. But in the case of discourse, online discourse or public discourse, I will not speak my opinion unless it's invited, unless people invite me into the discussion or into the conversation. And when I do, I try to speak with all respect, with all dignity, respecting the human person, the human being, and understand, guys, that we live in a very we live in tribal times. The going back to the alt tech, where you see just people being so vile and so vocal in response, in retaliation against censorship. Yes, I'm against censorship too. But you don't want to look like a certain group. You want to look like you. You want to look like your own voice. Sure, you can stand with them, but don't make it a clique. That's what I'm saying about choosing a side. Do not get involved with a clique. Cliques, I think, have you remain inaccessible, if that makes sense. So don't be on a socio-political clique. Don't be on a community, even a clique within a community like what we have here. Don't be when I say don't this, don't that, just be sure whatever you're doing, conduct yourself in a way where you are an individual and you are thinking independently and thinking critically. This will attract the public eye, the public attention, and ultimately the online public square. So those are my thoughts. I know that was more like it wasn't impromptu, so hopefully it makes sense. Because I was trying to bullet point these, and I just didn't have notes. I have a few bullet points on paper, but I wanted to see if I could talk about the importance of optionality in the way of alt tech, as it does provide us options, which is good. Also, the optionality for the public square, not just for different cliques and communities. And I don't think the community we are is in a clique. I'm not saying that, but it's easy to fasten to a certain person. I mean, even if you hold my ideas valuable, which I thank you for, you don't want to like latch on to me. I'm glad you are listening to me and you find my insight entertaining, but I would never want to draw on a clique. That's not the purpose of my YouTube channel at all. Yeah, so attracting the public square, and then also we have to attract the public square because their attention right now is on the ideological narrative. And guys, that narrative, that dangerous, evil narrative, will not be broken when they run out of money. It will not be stopped. It will not cease to exist when they run out of money. They will still continue. They will find ways to keep going. And I say it's not, if it's not already, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be state funded before we know it, if it isn't already. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let's go ahead and get back to chat and probably wrap it up around 11:30. Yeah, so the best channel for your dismal Disney news is undoubtedly Clownfish TV, but they reference other sources. Yeah, I've seen a couple of their I've seen a couple of their videos. I can't listen to that kind of energy for very long. I really can't. I like to focus on good things and wholesome things, not just negative all the time. I like that we talk about our concerns and we discuss our concerns, but not I am not one to complain or to gripe or to gossip, and it's very easy. It's even fun to complain, but I think we have to bear the responsibility of preserving art without complaining as well. This is actually something that I really appreciate Fan Man doing recently. Is and now he started it a couple months back where he focused less and less on geek news, and he focused more on stuff he liked, like space news, mysterious stuff. He loves Halloween, and so he really has a fun time. I can hear him having fun talking about different things he likes, and I think it's important. And recently, with the stream with he and Big Alan and the professor, is that I think Fan Man posited the idea, we might talk about geek news, but they're less and less inclined to talk about it, especially the prof and Fan Man, because, and I think Al's just unabashedly happy anyway. But they're not so inclined to talk about geek news because it's just the same old tired stuff anyway. It's the same stuff we're expecting. And Fan Man posited the idea of just talking about stuff they love. He had recently done a couple review videos on Resident Alien, a comic story that he really enjoys and really likes. I think that's important. So if you're not an artist yourself, or maybe you're just building your skill and fashioning and refashioning your skill and homing in on a specific skill to get better at, use the time, use your platform, use your channel to talk about stuff you love. And Fan Man is doing that really well, and I think that's the chemistry. I think that's that was my impression, that's what the those specials, because it's not going to be a weekly thing, but those office hour specials, I think that's going to be more what they focus on is stuff they like. The professor's doing a wonderful job with his heroic inspiration videos, where he has a guest talking about people they love, characters they love, and it's a good feeling. It's a good mental state to be in, to be reminded of those characters, and it helps people be reminded of these characters. I was telling the prof last night, he's had a really good turnout. He knows too. He's had a really good turnout with his recommendation on the Huck comic story. Very, very wonderful to have good, wholesome art be promoted like that and endorsed by someone like the professor. So, focus your attention on that as well. I think that's taking that responsibility. That's taking up that mantle of preserving what you love. It's not about complaining what you don't love. It's fun to complain, and it's fun to get on that gossip train and the geek news and stuff, but it's not doing anything. If it's not that alone is not preserving. Now, people might think it is. People might say, no, Michelle, no. In these videos, yeah, they complain, but they talk about why they complain and what they're opposing and what they're trying to preserve a little bit. It's like this, guys. It does this much work. It doesn't do the work that like someone like RJ from the Fourth Age. He goes into the philosophy and the classics of the hero archetype, and he started his own graphic novel. That kind of commentary is worth it. That kind of commentary is invaluable. Horizon Talker says, Zach from Diversity in Comics was a great example of this. He spawned a ton of imitators, but he's kept pretty separate from them because he has his own thoughts on things. Yeah, that's important. I'm not saying you can't influence people, or I'm not saying you can't be influenced by people. That's not what I'm saying at all. You're right, Horizon Talker. It's important to maintain that healthy separateness. You are an individual, because I don't care if you're right. I don't care if you're standing up for what's right. Anything can become an echo chamber. That's what you want to avoid. And that is what's going to make you stand out. That's what's going to make you stand apart from the ideology. You do not, no matter how right you are or how much right you are defending, you never want to become an echo chamber. Never. Samuel Proctor says the profit motive is win-win for everyone. Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with it. It's like if you're getting money only as a result of providing value to someone, you know, like, you know, it's kind of like your favorite local restaurant, okay? Like, let's say you go to a local restaurant and they make good business, but then they had this philosophical conundrum. You know, they couldn't stomach the idea of the profit motive or making money anymore. Like, and let's say it's like one of my favorite, you know, places to get sushi or whatever, and they closed down because they had a philosophical disagreement of the profit motive. Like, wait, where's my favorite sushi? I'll pay the money for sushi, you know? Horizon Talker says, yes, profit is a two-way street, and every exchange creates it both ways. Longest running superhero RPG on Earth. Hello. I love your change of avatars. That looks cool. Yeah, your avatars look great. Hello. Hope everyone is having a good night. I hope you're having a good night. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, I agree. So government should have extremely small power. They shouldn't regulate morality. That's for the individual and optional private institutions to decide. Yeah, in terms of business. Now, I mean, laws properly enforced, you know, proper laws that are properly enforced, I think do uphold, well, depending on the country, of course, but I think by and large, people are law-abiding citizens, honoring and respecting the freedoms of others. It's just when, yes, you're right, when people start regulating what is moral and what is not, that's when we are in for some trouble. Oh man, I can't remember the reference. Matthew Flynn says I was making a joke relating to what you were talking about. It was probably a reference I didn't know. I'm bad with references, especially if it's like TV shows and movies. Melissa says, I got Jake a Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, and you play through the prequels and the original trilogy. Yes, good. That's cool. Star Wars should have ended after the original EU. I think Star Wars, just in general, as a phenomena, is something that will always continue in some way, in some capacity. I think probably for a good couple of centuries, if it has the stamina, if people have the love for it. But I was saying this in my last stream too. The problem with the treatment of Star Wars now that we see with Disney is they're trying to make everyone a Star Wars fan, which doesn't really work, and it doesn't really make sense because a lot of people are Star Wars fans already. You don't have to make more Star Wars fans. But, you know, stick to the archetypes and you'll have fans for, you know, that stand the test of time. So I don't think it will ever end. I just think the evolution is what's questionable. Its evolution is what's going to be questionable. Wolf10 says, yes, I've been saying that for months now. These writers have a heavy dose of inferiority complex. Yeah, I've never struggled with that kind of complex myself. I mean, I've dealt with insecurities and stuff like that, but yeah, when they output themselves, or when it's they themselves that are the output, that is strange. That is strange. You know, it's kind of in a way, it is hard to write about heroes. It is hard to write heroes. It is hard to view heroes, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge. You know, when we see heroic acts, you know, like I'm going through Agents of Shield with my professor, and everyone so far I know two. There's a lot of growth happening with all the characters, all six characters of the team, but I know two so far have demonstrated acts of heroism, and I'm thinking, oh, she did what was right, but I don't know if I could do that. Like, you know, do you ever challenge yourself? Do you ever, when you see heroism on, you know, on film or reading heroism out of a book, does it ever challenge you? I mean, come on. Does it challenge you? Do you say to yourself, could I do that in that situation? And sometimes my answer is like, I don't think I can. But heroes have to challenge us. This is the problem of writing relatable characters too relatable. Like, I have to write me on the comic story or in the comics. Like, I have to be me. Yeah, you have to see me in the story. Is because you're not placing that challenge upon yourself. You're not writing the ideal. You have to write the ideal, and it's hard. You know, I you know, some of the stuff that I put my characters through, I don't like. You know, with my novel, I wrote a speculative novel, you know, a few years ago. I got to get back to that. It's a good story. I probably have a lot of revision to do, but I remember putting one of my characters through torment, like just torture. I don't like putting my characters through a very compromising situation. It's not fun. It's not fun for me as a writer. I remember my dad saying, "Oh, you like, so this hurts you to do this, to write for these characters. They must be real characters." That was his reaction. It was like, they must be real characters because it pains you to write this for them. I said, yeah, it does. I wish, like, I would rather not write it. That's the thing. Is it hurts to write this, some of the things that I do write. I'd rather not write it. I'd rather not put those characters through those things. But that's not the role of the writer. You know, the role of the writer is to have a good story that demonstrates hard, challenging times and people overcoming those in their own unique ways and stories. So this idea of putting yourself on a story, especially a physical medium like a visual art, where the characters look like you, that's or like, I love RJ when he complains about people eating, like, everyone's eating all the time. It's like, yeah, why are people eating all the time? Like, sure, once in a while heroes can have a meeting with a drink every now and then. I mean, like, for instance, like, you know, Tony Stark, like, he'll offer the villain like a drink or something. But you know what? He's not lazy. He's not gluttonous. He gets a beating. Like, you see those Iron Man films, and he just gets thrown and tossed around when he's in the Iron Man suit, and then when he's not. It's like, man, this guy he takes a beating. He gets thrown around a lot. So he's not gluttonous. So when he's offering a drink or when he is drinking, I don't see him as a glutton. It's not, and he overcomes a lot of difficulty, a lot of traumatic things. Yeah, I was thinking that same thing too, and I've had interviews on Discord. I've been on, I think, a couple interviews on Discord. So I'm not dissing it. I might not have an account myself. You know, I think I do have an account. I think I did set up an account. I don't think I have the information where I could look it up though. Discord is for people who want a group phone call going while they are working on something. That's not really my thing. I did lurk chat rooms back in the day, but not anymore. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. Except for YouTube, I'm not a fan of the chat medium. I remember when I was pretty active on Facebook. This was like 8 years ago or so. You know, occasionally I'd have a friend or two just say, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm on, like, when I'm on social media, guys, I'm on Facebook for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and then I'm away from it for, you know. So when you see me in the group, unless I'm in a dialogue, unless I'm in a conversation with someone, I'll go on the group for like 3 to 5 minutes, probably not even that, probably 2 to 3 minutes, look over stuff I'm interested in, maybe send a comment or two, and then I'm out. I'm back to work again. I'm back to composing music or doing my projects. So back in the day when I actually had like a lot of friends from college on Facebook, and having people like, "Hey, what's up?" Because they see that they see I'm on Facebook. So it's like, and what do? I can't say busy, can't talk right now, because I'm too polite. I'm like, hey, what's up? And I never liked chat. I never cared for chat. I like chat though in this way. I like being on a YouTube video or a stream and chatting. But even so, like, let's say my professor has a gaming stream. I'll be on chat, but while he's playing, I'll look over on another device to see like the what's going on in the story of the Knights of the Old Republic. But I'll be working on stuff. I'll be like editing a video or stuff. So I'll be away from chat. Or if you guys don't see me on chat very frequently, like on a book study, it's because I'm cooking. I'm listening to it in the background. It's already 11:30, and my eyes just suddenly got really watery. I say I take it because I know who I am and what I am and made peace with it. Now, if they try to shame me for it, I could say, yeah. Well, I mean, don't get confrontational. Challenge yourself not to get confrontational. I really do strongly challenge people not to get confrontational. You just, what point ultimately, this is just my experience, what point ultimately does it prove? What are you trying to prove by being confrontational? I know that's kind of hard, but I don't. I'm in the book of Proverbs right now, in my scriptural reading, and the theme is about the foolish man and the wise man, and it's vanity to try to rebuke or try to scold a foolish man. It's vanity. You're only going to incur more wrath, and it's not worth the effort. It's not worth the effort at all. And especially if you want to uphold your art, then uphold the integrity of your personhood by not giving in to that temptation. And I hope that didn't come too harsh, Wolf 10. And a huge thank you for joining me in A+ size of stream last Thursday. Thank you. Yeah, I was under the weather Wednesday and Thursday, and so I messaged my studio saying, hey, can I teach from home online? I have a fever. The fever went away like a day later. It was really weird. Usually when I have a fever, it gets progressively worse really fast, but it just went away. It was weird. Hopefully it doesn't come back. But they said, yeah, you can teach online. Unfortunately, I lost half my students that day teaching online. So I made half my income that day. But I was available in between lessons to listen to you. Because I was home. So that was nice. Now Thursdays are going to get really busy for me because I will be teaching straight from 6 to 8, like no break, pretty soon. So wait, did I say 6 to 8? I meant 2 to 8. I will be teaching 2 to 8 with no break, so 6 hours straight. I think I said that. I just wanted to be clear. So yeah, I'm usually gone Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm usually away from home. But you're welcome. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. Horizon Talker says, that reminds me, I need to look up into uploading my audiobook. Yeah. Project to Stitcher. See, I don't know these platforms. These are new. That's the thing about these platforms is you have to take into account that a lot of people don't know them yet. So just kind of being, it's Green Lion Girl. How are you? How's the FF7 stream? I hope those were going well. I I'm sad to miss those. I should catch those on the replay. I'd like to see the comparisons. And Horizon also greeting. Wolf 10 says, "Hi, Granny. We can see you and hear you again. Yay!" That must have been when I blacked out. It's already at the 2-hour mark, so let's catch up with chat. I didn't say anything bad about Amazon. I say you have to promote your art on Amazon. I will say what I would say is bad about Amazon for me as a composer. I've said this before. You've got MP3 files available to purchase, and you've got WAV files available to purchase. WAV files are not compressed. They're not audio compressed, so it's not squashed. So when I say squashed, if it's not compressed, you've got a pretty good bandwidth. I'm not actually sure. I think you have 20 to 20K hertz of available frequency bandwidth for your files. I used to know the science of that, but anyway, I think what happens is with compression, you will squish it down, and anything that passes the threshold will actually be brought down. Let's see. I think this is how it works. So this is the threshold, and compressed, anything that exceeds the threshold will actually be squashed down the amount below the threshold. I think that's what it does. And so that compressed sound, what does that do? Well, I have a very dynamic range of frequency for my sounds. So you might hear like a high frequency with a reverb completely squashed and actually unattractive sounding. Whereas on a WAV file on my Bandcamp page, it's clear. It's got good fidelity. So I never recommend MP3. Let me just write that down. MP3 equals bad. WAV equals good. Smiley face. On my Bandcamp page, has my music available to purchase with my WAV files. In fact, why not? I'll just plug myself. Plug away, Sound Engraver, Bandcamp. Oh, speaking of which, as I look for this, my album is coming along. I'm on song number 4, about to be mastered. So there was a little bit of a hiccup with song number 4. I had to clean up some volume and gain and velocity values and stuff like that. But my upcoming album, Happy Anomaly, we've got 3 of the 8 tracks mastered already. We're on track number 4 to be mastered, and then I'll send them track number 5. So I'm thinking, let's see, it's the 8th of February. We've been averaging about 2 songs a week. So probably end of February, I will have that released. Melissa Harris says, "It's a bird, it's a plane." No, it's SuperCollider Man. Yeah, actually, when I talk about Super Nintendo or Superman, like if I'm about to write the name Superman, my fingers go instantly to SuperCollider. Yeah, I think I remember where in the conversation I was, Green Lion Girl, when you posted this. You mean like do free samples of your art, give possible customers a chance to taste your art? It makes sense. Giving them a taste, it might lead them to wanting more. Yeah, that actually has worked for a good business model for music. I have a free song. It's a faith-based song. My single tracks are $1, and they're long, so they're that's fine. $1's fine. My albums are going to be $5. My 2 albums are $5, and my next album is going to be $5. So I actually sell my music relatively cheap for very good quality for what's given, my skills and my style, my musical style. That is to say, I'm still open to doing a free track. Free album, probably not, but maybe a bonus track. I'd like to actually give bonus tracks to people on my website. I also offer a subscription to my Bandcamp page, but so far it's only my faithful prof boyfriend who has subscribed to my Bandcamp page. Um, so if I'd like to get more subscriptions to get more exclusive content, but if that's not the case, then I'll just focus on my website, exclusive content on my website, and then also some YouTube stuff. Given the level of disagreement, simple phrases like the Mandalorian stirs in the FB group. We are clearly not dealing with a clique. Well, I mean, it is, I know people might have like a problem with the Mandalorian not being allowed, so to speak, not being permitted on the Facebook group page, the Professor Geek Facebook group page. But remember, it's Professor Geek Facebook group page, and he's expressed his sentiments. He has expressed his position on Disney Star Wars and recently the Mandalorian. So well, unless you're saying like baby, I want to talk about clicks, man. Baby Yoda has caused major cliquish behavior. Like, I'm all about Baby Yoda. I was talking with a professor last night about Baby Yoda. Okay, here's the thing. Here's my theory. The craze about Baby Yoda was intentional. Okay, they didn't do it for character. They did Baby Yoda for the market, which fine, business, right? They're like, you might be arguing, Michelle, you just talked about Disney not caring about making money. Well, you know what? If they could do one thing that will keep it afloat for another 10 years to get their message out, they'll do it. But don't expect the subsequent shows of Star Wars to be as good as The Mandalorian. And I say good in quotes because I've never seen Mandalorian, and I'm not going to call it good. I'm not going to call it bad until I would actually see it and be objective about it. But Baby Yoda, okay, guys, really notice the design of Baby Yoda. Those eyes of Baby Yoda were intentionally, specifically designed the way they are. Because if you had normal Yoda eyes, like just green with maybe with the whites of the eyes or like a green version of the whites of our eyes, and it looked more like Yoda, it would not have been as marketable. They made him cute with the Men in Black alien look. He looks like he's from Men in Black. Am I wrong about that? He looks like he's from an alien from Men in Black. But cute? I've only seen Men in Black. That was like a long time ago. I can't even really remember that movie, but I remember what the aliens looked like a little bit. And so I would say, yeah, like the darkness of the eyes with no whites of the eyes, that doesn't look like Yoda. Yoda looks like he has kind of more of the greenish eyes, like how we would have our eyes, even though he's an alien species. So I think that design was it was designed to manipulate your senses. I think so anyway. Did I get a bit choppy? I don't know. Last month or two I've had really weird Wi-Fi connection. Wolf10 says WCR is heading in that direction too, a path of talking about things we like while having a balance. I like that. Yeah, that's the thing, is you guys were talking about topics you knew about. You're talking about what was it, X-Men with Schooner Tuna? Yeah, that's good stuff. It's Mr. Matchstick, man. Yo, nice to see you. Nice to see you hop in. Hope you're doing well. Okay, this is interesting. Horizon Talker says, I actually stopped listening to gaming news a few years back because it got so repetitive for much of the same reasons as pop culture more broadly. Yeah. Isn't that weird? I was talking to the prof about this last night too, is have you guys ever worked in customer service where you'd have like an orientation or it's almost midnight, goodness, where you've been in an orientation or you've been in a customer service type meeting, and that old idea, it's been thrown out there for a number of years now, where people are 10 times, and I believe this, I don't believe this is an arbitrary number. I believe people are 10 times more likely to complain about a service than to applaud a service. We have this natural inclination, I'm not saying it's a good one, to be negative. So repetition, rinse, repeat, being negative, it's what's going to keep that cyclic. It's gonna keep that going. This is how news media works in general, guys. So anyway, let me catch up with chat and then wrap it up here, because I'd like to relax, and I have to finish a project anyway. So anyway, I should get going. So, oh my. Okay, I think I can catch up with chat pretty fast. A Green Line Girl says, I think also part opening up to learning new skills. I know it took me a while to feel confident enough to post videos, but before that, I had to stop stuttering. Yeah, I mean, one is saying the word a lot, or a lot. For me stuttering like this, for your speech, I highly recommend recording your thoughts. Just record your thoughts alone in a room, just, like journaling, recording your journaling. So instead of writing, you just speak it. That helped my teaching ability, and that also helped me stream a little bit more easily. Lego Star Wars was my childhood. Good old GameCube. I hope my audio is okay. I'm not really facing the microphone. Oh, yeah, by the way, no Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spoilers. I've only shown her the first half of season 1, so I can't read spoilers, guys. Don't tell me what happens. I'm already trying to guess what happens. Like at the end of the episode, I'll say to him, I think this is the case. Thank you, Prof. No Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spoilers. I used to have inferiority complex, envy, and possible narcissism. Took some time, but I was able to work through them. Because of that, you see Wolf 10 today. I know people knock others for, being narcissistic, but I think we're all susceptible to that online in the presence, whether we hear ourselves speak and provide commentary, whether we see ourselves in chat, whether we post things on social media. If we're not careful, I think we all have that propensity to have those narcissistic problems, those tendencies. So good on you for overcoming that. And no, you don't. I don't hear it at all with your speaking. So I don't hear it. So you have overcome those things. Dude, silly chat is jumping around. Go ahead, actually, for input on what I was discussing. Yeah, go ahead and if you're trying to talk to me, go ahead and tag Sound Engraver. Wolf 10 says, just like the Culture Fortress stream over at Matchsticks. I like drawing while talking to the guys. I don't think. Well, you draw. That might be different. I certainly couldn't. I couldn't compose while I was on a stream with people. Drawing, I can understand. Sketching, I can understand. Maybe editing my tracks, I could probably be on stream. But for me, especially when I'm on stream with other people, I'm so hyper focused. Sometimes I'll be really quiet, like on a rewatch, and it's just because I'm focused on the movie. And when everyone's laughing, sometimes I'll miss it because I'll be so focused on the film. Samuel Proctor says, I've been watching old debates. Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell were having in the 1970s. Is that how you pronounce his name? Sowell? Man, the art of debate is gone today. The crowd wasn't rude. People listened. Yeah, I mean, I have a strong position on decorum and decency. We have to. We have to. Matthew Flynn says, I've been thinking of doing a MCU Thanos talk stream or just a video on, because I have a different opinion on him that doesn't line up with the rest of the internet. Cool. Yeah, see that? And he's a popular figure. He's in the public conscience. So conscious. Yeah. Right? Conscience? No, conscience is the ability to discern right from wrong. I don't know. But yeah, he's a popular character, so any different take would be also engaging. Final Fantasy VII streams are going well, but I'm way ahead in the original. In the original, Square added a bit more content between the first and second Mako. Is it Mako reactors? Yeah. I had seen a little bit of streaming already of the new remake, and yeah, it's looks a lot more. Looks a lot more cushioned or padded. I think I'm almost done. Yeah. Jedi Master's Utopia raises a good point on Baby Yoda. Is a ripoff of Gizmo from Gremlins, and the eyes of both of them are based on a baby's eyes, which are conditioned by nature to respond to. Yeah. It doesn't look like Yoda, and people are like, well, it doesn't have to look like Yoda. But if the species already, I think we have 3 examples of those species in the history, already have a distinctive style of eyes. Yoda's eyes aren't black or dark, whatever. I think it's like a dark blue or dark black or dark brown. I mean, if Yoda doesn't have it, or Vandar, of course, Master Vandar from the Knights of the Old Republic, which I've seen. My goodness, it's almost midnight. And then Yaddle, I think. I mean, so there's no connection of the design of Baby Yoda's eyes. Consistency, guys. If you do not see a pattern, or if you do not see consistency with the world building, with these current day writers and producers, watch out for manipulation. Watch out for a manipulated response. That's all I'm saying. Oh, chat, come on. Chat is misbehaving. I think Wolf 10 is agreeing with me. I think he does look like that baby from Men in Black. Yeah. Just different color and Yoda ears. That's the only thing. He has the Yoda ears. But I don't know. Baby Yoda Grogu's eyes look a lot like my dog Ginger's eyes. She's Pekingese, and they're known for the big, adorable eyes and barking and being proud and being balls of fur. That's cute. Yeah. So not just that from like Gremlins, but yeah, like dogs, like a cute puppy dog. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Wolf 10 says the cure to narcissism is being humble. I pronounce Sewell or Sowell or Sowell. Yeah, I've seen him on my feed. I should check him out. Okay. Melissa's saying goodnight to everyone. I gotta wrap it up too. And it looks like I'm caught up on chat. Oh, silly chat. Just bouncing around. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and oh, I subconsciously typed wrong. Okay. I gotcha. All right. So let's take some time, guys. Post your content for the week. I'll do my best to go through at least the channels and the nights that you guys are presenting your stuff. So we have actually, Professor, are you doing something tonight right after me? I'm sorry, I meant to stop earlier. It's almost 2.5 hours. My goodness. So we have we might have something tonight after me on the profs. He might do a game stream, might not. I shouldn't say anything until he announces it, because it depends on how much work he did on his grading his students' papers today. But apart from that, we definitely have our content for tomorrow. We have WCR, of course, with I think Schooner Tuna with you. Okay, no game stream tonight, maybe Friday. Okay, sounds good. All right, so that will be hopefully Friday. That'd be fun. Matthew Flynn. Oh, we'll talk about the weeks first, but Matthew Flynn says my stream with Troy will be Sunday the 14th at 3 p.m., which is 7 a.m. U.S. time. That's actually is it 7 hours? Oh, is it 7? I thought it was 6 hours. I might be sleeping. Teaching Troy Pacelli about Transformers and Matthew Flynn, the gladiator of Kion. There should be a Y or maybe like a soft J or something. The 14th, I may have plans on the 14th, but I can always catch it on the replay. But yeah, good luck. That'll be interesting. I wonder if Troy's just staying up all night for that, or maybe he's just getting up early. But anyway, so be on the lookout for that, especially on the replay. I'm sorry that a lot of people are in the U.S. and you're like 6 or 7 hours ahead of us, Matthew. But we'll work. So Tuesday. So we've got WCR with Wolf 10 and I think Schooner Tuna. 2:30 Eastern time. And then we have the Catholic Bible Geek book study on Prince Caspian. Okay, so more X-Men Evolution. And talking MCU with Leia Plus Size the following Thursday, or this coming Thursday. Very good. And then we've got our Catholic Bible Geek channel. 9 o'clock book study, Prince Caspian. I think we're finishing Prince Caspian with the Prof, or Catholic Bible Geek Prof, and Big Al. And Wednesday, of course, we have Daniel Herron with his soundtracks with Birdman. I think it's the second installment of the Harry Potter series with Aged Boomer, and also Green Line Girl with her gaming streams. Is it you're doing the Final Fantasy remake on Wednesdays, right? And the originals on Fridays. I think that's what it is. Oh, there you go. Final Fantasy remake 9 p.m. Wednesday, and then Dead or Alive 6 p.m. Friday. Oh, for an early Valentine's Day stream. Okay, sounds good. Very good. So that is it for Wednesday. I believe we do also have Second Cup Cafe with Fan Man on Wednesdays and Fridays. Ballparking 11 to 12 Eastern time in the morning, so 11 a.m. to noon Eastern time. And also going into Thursdays, we've got WCR again, 2:30, and also Catholic Pop Geek channel. Oh no, yes, book study, Gospel of John, Gospel of the Fanboy, and then also hopefully Kenobi series, which I will probably not attend because I'm still on chapter 12. So that's that. And Friday, we've got Green Line Girls streaming. And then thank you, Jedi, Ztopia, for saying that. Saturday is I think Big Al Presents has something going on Saturday on his film with friends. I think it's called I Am Dragon. And is that a foreign film? It looks like the thumbnail, that movie cover looks like a fantasy romance novel. But let me know if you're still up, Al. I think that's look for Big Al Presents thumbnail for his rewatch. Oh, it's not rewatch. It's called Films with Friends. This coming Saturday at 10 p.m. I think. So I'll be hanging out with you guys in different areas and chats and probably Facebook group page and all that good stuff. I have a lot of projects to do this week. But this weekend is Valentine's Day. I hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Treat your significant other with so much love and kindness and respect and affection. And if you are by yourself, just do something kind, call a relative, or just have a time for yourself. And I think everything is going to be a wonderful week. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a wonderful week. I'm kind of tired right now. But anyway, be on the lookout. Hopefully, definitely sound experimentation this Thursday, and some more live commentary every Friday or every Monday nights. I'm tired. And until I see you next, keep preserving and producing the art you love, and I will catch you later. Thanks again.